everybody. Welcome to the KLG podcast. I'm Queen Keisha. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for liking, sharing, commenting, inviting, and all those good things that you do with the podcast. Thank you for every time you came in and encouraged me, gave me support. I appreciate it so much. If you saw the posts from today in the Facebook podcast room, we said we were excited because we're venturing out onto YouTube, and I'm just excited. So, the three things I want to talk about today is, first of all, I want to talk about this. So you know how when things happen in the news and we hear about it, especially in the Black community, and we send out our love and our sympathies for them, and then we kind of drift off and don't think about them anymore, and we never seem to find out what happened to the drama or the trauma that we have been exposed to. So I was thinking about this a couple days before this podcast, and I was like, we as a people, I know the world is moving fast and it's constantly going, and every day is something going on new. But I was thinking about it. I said, we need to find out and do follow-ups on some of the things that we see on the news, we see on the social media, the families posting, whatever else we come in contact with, because uh, I found out that, like Mr. Floyd, who was murdered in the streets on social media in public view for the entire world to see. Who knew that was going to go viral? But it did in real time. Um, and I said, I wonder how his family is doing, and have we bothered to check up on him or see anything about him? Sorry, I got to grab my notes so I won't forget what I want to talk about. And I wanted to bring that up because I was thinking about the Tyree Nichols story. That's where I'm trying to go. The Tyree Nichols story goes like this. Same thing with George Floyd. He was accosted by some police officers. The story goes that he was supposedly in a stolen car. Still haven't found anything that I searched out to say that he actually was in a stolen car. According to certain sources that I read, the body cam was supposed to be sketchy and or ineligible or unreadable or whatever they call it now, unlegible. That's the word. I'm an educated person. I should know this. Um, illegible or unlegible or something like that. And so the body cam is still is in question about this young man's life. My understanding, he was an 18-year-old boy who was on his way to living his best life, had plans for his future. All of these good things were coming to pass, and all of a sudden he had an encounter with a police officer on one night. And so this story happened back in 2023, January 7th, I believe, 2023. And so here it is now, May of 2025. And I was wondering, I said, why haven't we heard anything else about this story? Like, what has happened since then? So, if you know how the story goes, Tyree Nichols was murdered by this police officer. Uh, the man took his life. He was just a baby. 18 to me is still just a baby. And I wanted to do a little research to try to figure out what exactly is going on with his story. So it has come to my attention since then that the father has killed the police officer that killed his son. It's a lot of stuff still floating around on social media about the outrage of the GoFundMe that was raised for the father to be able to get bail or have decent representation. Uh, Actually, if you read up on the GoFundMe page, they actually submitted an apology to the police officer's family for allowing money to be raised for this black man who has been, they said he was like not in his right mind since the time that his son was murdered. So I have a couple of dilemmas with this, and let's just clear the air about it. And y'all beg my pardon just in case I say something I probably shouldn't say. But here's my dilemma with this. First of all, GoFundMe is a free enterprise. And what I mean by that is it is a place where people go and they state their case, their dilemma, their issue, their struggle. And then those of us from the public, we read their information and we decide if they've moved us or moved our heartstrings enough where we want to donate to this cause. And so, as I stated on someone's post that they had on a newsletter, that uh, it's not GoFundMe's call to decide like if the money that was raised for the father who needs a decent attorney, uh, that's not their call for them to have an issue with the money because we're the public, we're the people, and we gave our monies in good faith to a cause that we believe in. And that's what GoFundMe is for. A good cause you believe in. You pay your money, you donate your money, and then the person on the other end of the receiving end, they're able to take that money and use it for the cause that they stated. So whoever made this page for the father to be able to have ample representation and sufficient representation. Even if he doesn't decide to post bail, he can use the money for his legal fees. For GoFundMe and all of the police officers, family members that are having a problem with this and all that, I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate it because if he was a white boy, like the little Rittenhouse boy that went down to Green Bay, Wisconsin and murdered somebody, when they raised all that money for him and his defense, seems like white America didn't bat an eye. And most of the people that are talking about this or having some kind of issue with the money being raised for the father that killed the police officer who killed his son, uh, my thing about that is they didn't bat an eye for this boy. We were outraged about it, but we couldn't do anything else. The second thing I want to talk about when it comes to money, have you ever noticed, like even with the lady that we talked about a week or two ago that was calling the little baby, the 8-year-old autistic baby on the playground, the N-word, and how she raised over $500,000, no justifiable reason, just put some post up about how she loved God and all of this kind of stuff, and white America came to her rescue and gave over $500,000 for the cause. Now I don't know who all donated to the father that murdered the police officer who murdered his son's cause, whether they black, white, Puerto Rican, Chinese, Spanish, I don't know. But the money was raised. And so I figured, our issue with our people is when our people get in trouble, we don't have a fund or we don't have a place, we don't have the money. Let me say it like that. We really, in our community, we really don't have the money to be able to support things like that. And so for all of the support that the father is receiving financially uh, through this trauma that he's trying to process and go through, I think that it's a good thing that whomever stepped up to help him did the right thing. I saw a post earlier that someone put up about this very issue, and it was a white brother, and he said that he understands why the man killed the police officer. He says too many times in America that we've heard this story about the body cam not working. They claimed that it was a justifiable shoot, or that they pulled the child over, or the young person over, or the young black person over, or the black person in general over, and that there was always some kind of issue that someone ended up being murdered, basically, uh, or shot or transported, and they were physically harmed that they had to go to the hospital before they could be taken to jail and booking and all of that. So it's always been some kind of issue. And he said he could understand it. Now, him like we don't condone uh, murder or violence on any level. It's inappropriate and it's just unjustifiable and it's illegal to just go around murdering people. But we do understand it because the mind is a sensitive organ in our body, and it can only take so much before it cracks and breaks under the pressure. And it all depends on the traumatic event that happens to the mind, whether or not the mind will be able to process what it is that has occurred in its, uh, orbit or in its life. And so, with that being said, uh, when the mind begins to not be able to understand what is happening in one's life, it has the tendency to just like what's called what they call a fracture. It's almost like the brain literally has a crack in it because it cannot understand what has happened. And so the fight or flight things uh, applies here as well. Usually, when we in our community experience something like this, we do one thing: we fight or we flight. And when I say flight, we just go and tuck our tails and we take cover and we just, like they say, tell us to go pray somewhere and try to, process all of that happened to us. And we bury our children and our husbands and our daughters, and we just on the wrong end of the stick. With that being said, I was curious as to what is going to be the outcome for Mr. Nichols. I found out the father's name is Rodney Hinton. That's his father's name. And Mr. Hinton, I think, in my opinion, has gone through one of the worst experiences of his life. I don't think anything else can top this unless his mother passes, if she has not already transitioned. To lose your child in such a violent way, in a senseless way. It's just a lot to process and to take in. And so my heart goes out to Mr. Hinton, the Nichols family, meaning his mom, siblings, friends, relatives, whatever the case may be. My heart just goes out to all of them. And so I decided that I was going to try to keep track of this and find out like where they are in the legal process of trying him. Did he make bail? Because I didn't see anything online about him making bail yet. Maybe if you know and I don't know, then please feel free to drop it in the link below or the comment section below, and I will be glad to click on it and read up on it. The next thing I want to talk about is I was thinking about this for the Black community. To all of our white brothers and sisters, don't read a whole lot into it because we don't want you to start acting like Karens and be on here saying stuff on my YouTube page or on my podcast page. But I was thinking that as a Black community, we should start a GoFundMe page just for our people, and we should entitle it. As I said earlier, I had a name for it. Uh, like Black Defense or Black Relief or something like that. And this is not for little Johnny if Johnny out here stealing cars and he get arrested and he go to jail. This is not the page that you're gonna come in and leave a message and contact and say, "Oh, I want to bail my son out of jail," but you know your son been stealing cars and robbing people and just out here in these streets. This is for like serious crimes and serious cases, like uh, the Tyree Nichols case and his father, for people who need some legal representation to help them navigate through the system that's going to try to bury them. Even with the death of George Floyd, uh, I felt like I understood, the father, I mean, the officer got all the representation he needed and he ended up getting convicted for all of that. But I thought about it. I said, on the other end of the spectrum, if the roles were reversed and he was a black officer, well, I guess that's not even a good example either because he would have been murdered a white man. You understand what I'm going with this. It's just different scenarios that have happened in the last at least 3 years that we know of. We know about the black man that was walking through his neighborhood, was accosted by the white men. They end up killing the man, and he lived in the neighborhood, and he was just out taking a stroll in the neighborhood. I can't remember his name right now. Prayer that by the time I get done, it'll come to me. But just cases like that, that we need somebody to defend our people, and we need them to be able to come in and defend them with all of the legal strategy and all the legal intelligence that they have, and bring a team with them because not everybody deserves a public defender. God bless public defenders. I thought about being one at some time. Took some classes in while I was in college for law. Uh, Changed my mind on some things, but I bless the public defender because they have a lot on their plate and they have to deal with a lot of people, guilty and innocent, and so that's a lot for them. But if our people get in trouble and we have this defense fund for the black community, and we have like a board of people, at least 5 people in that GoFundMe defense fund, and we all get the story and we all get the research and we all get the backstory and we all talk to the family and we talk to the people around us, and that person warrants some type of defense monies from this fund, then I think as the black community, I think that we will be able to rally around that. Whether we gave $1, whether we gave $5, whether we gave $500, whether we gave $5,000, or $50,000, because some of us can even afford that at some point in time. Those of us who have felt like we've made it. But that defense fund will be a good thing for us. The last thing I want to talk about, so I'm just going to table that for now, and I'm going to mull it over a little bit, and I'm going to see how that works because I'm not real familiar with the GoFundMe thing, but I'll talk to some people that I know that are familiar with it and see how that works. Because if you can actually put together a 5-panel board, 5 people and 5 panel and reputable people, that's not going to be because I want it to be able to be set up where one person can't go in and take no money out. You have to have all 5 signatures to get that money. And if all 5 of us agree on to give XYZ to this person's legal fees, defense fund, bail, whatever, then all 5 of us have to be able to sign off on it. No one person can go in and say, "Oh, I'm going to take $1,000 out and give it to so and so and so. I'm gonna take $1,000 out and I'm just gonna pay my electric bill and then I'll put it back later." We're not doing that. If this were to happen, we will have to vet the people that's going to be on the board. and they have to be of reputable reputation. They have to be of sound mind. They have to be ethical. They have to be moral, and they have to be sympathetic and empathetic to the plight and the cause of that defense. So, if anybody got any ideas, please, ma'am, sir, drop them in the comments because I can use that because it's starting to kind of grow on me a little bit. The last thing I want to talk about is what everybody's talking about. So the Sean Puffy P Diddy Combs trial has started. I am not going to tell you that I'm on his side that he might be innocent, and I'm not going to tell you that I'm on his side that he is guilty. I do think he's guilty of dragging that girl down the hall because that was like live and on video and it went viral. But what I am going to tell you is the same things and a lot of the things that I heard today as the trial was being aired. Um, the same white brothers we had, Weinstein and those of that nature, and Epstein of that nature, they were doing. What's the man with the bunnies? Oh my God, I grew up on the man with the Playboy Mansion, Hugh Hefner. Uh, he basically isn't doing no more or no less than what all of them were doing. The difference between Sean Puffy Diddy Combs is that he is a black man and he's a mogul. See, when they went after Bill Cosby, I didn't understand that. You know, Bill might have been guilty of some things, but like the whole of America was in agreement. If you thought I drugged you and you came back again, then we was in agreement with something. And you like doing drugs with me and doing whatever else he was doing. And so to take him down like that at his age was unjust and it was just unseemly. Now, with the Sean Puffy Combs Diddy thing, um, I don't think I think they overreaching in some areas because they're trying to charge him with not only trafficking, but they're trying to charge him on a federal level uh, with something they called it. I can't think of it right now. But they're trying to charge him with like they reaching above and beyond. And so I said, well, I don't think those charges are gonna stick. They did pick the jury. I think they said they had 8 women and 6 men. No, I'm sorry, 8 men and 6 women. Yeah, 8 men and 6 women. You have two alternate jurors, and so they, wanted to balance it out. They range from all ages. They got young people all the way up to seniors on this panel. They have people from all walks of life, nationality, and vocations, meaning jobs. They're not just rich people, poor people, in between people, middle aged people, retirees, boomers, none of that. They got it all from like my granddaughter's age of 22 all the way up to probably my age of 57 or beyond. And so the eclecticness of the whole thing, that I think that's going to work in his favor. I hope that works in his favor. I pray it works in his favor. But I also pray that he does get charged and penalized for the things he has done. Uh, I don't think that no man with that kind of power and that kind of access to anybody with that kind of money should go walk away scot free, black or white. When you mishandle who you are and your representation and your power, especially when God gave you a certain kind of gift or talent, and you use that gift or talent and you climbed to basically the top of the mountain of your game, and then you get to the top of the mountain or on your way up the mountain and you doing things that are unnecessary. It was no necessity for him to be dragging and beating that girl up in that hallway. And some of the other things that he was accused of, I wasn't there, you wasn't there, only the people that were there know actually what happened. Every celebrity on this planet I've heard that has been to what they call the freak parties and all of that kind of stuff with the baby oil and all that other messy stuff that they're talking about. But I do feel like that he should at least be able to get a fair trial. So after the jury was selected, I felt a little better because I didn't what to happen was that even though some of the things he's accused of are just deplorable, it makes no sense. It's unnecessary, and I think he got a sickness in some kind of way in his spirit or something because that's unclean and that's unnasty and it's unclean, unnecessary. But I think that he even just as a man, not even just as a black man, he deserved a fair trial. So with the jury that they picked, the lawyers that they have, I think he's bound to get some kind of equity out of the balance of it from the prosecutor and his defense team. I understand his prosecutors up against him are women, And I think they chose these women on purpose and assigned them this particular thing because of the heinousness of all the things that he's done. And you can't really blame the prosecution because their job is to pull out all the stops to convict this man of whatever. He's already been sitting in jail for what, about a year now or so. So that's, oh, excuse me, that's time served, as they say. But let alone, I'm just hoping that it has an equal outcome. Like again, let me state, I know you may not agree, and that's the good thing about living in this country, and hopefully it stays that way in this country, especially under this current administration we have. But my hope and my prayer is that he does get an equitable defense, and the prosecutor or the prosecution attorneys uh, play fair. Like just present the evidence, and if you don't have any federal evidence to convict him of certain things, then be willing to wave the white flag at that instance. But anything else that you can convict him on, if he's guilty of some of the heinous things that they're saying, please lock him up. Because he really doesn't need to be on the street anymore. Because he got money, honey. And if they, any kind of way, shape, or form, let him loose, that don't mean he's going to stop. He's just going to find a better way to do it. It's like any other criminal in America. There you go. So I think I'm done. Uh, yeah, I think I'm done for today. So, like I said, this is the KLG podcast. I'm Queen Keisha. Please like, comment, share, invite, all of that on Facebook podcast page where we're going to put the clip at. And then please come over and click the link and join me on the YouTube page. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night.